Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us for this month's Anura webinar. Today's topic, as I mentioned, is about breaking barriers. More specifically, how LinkUnite has created a community for women in the performance marketing space. Today, we're joined, of course, by Anura CEO and co-founder Rich Kahn, LinkUnite CEO and founder Amanda Ferris, and Sarah Mallow, president and COO of LinkUnite. Thank you to our panelists for being here today. Quick introduction for those of you that don't know. As CEO and co-founder of Anura, Rich Kahn has been at the forefront of digital marketing for over 30 years and has spent the majority of his career leading the fight against the growing $100 billion ad fraud problem. Rich, thank you so much for sponsoring this series and for joining us today.
Thank you.
We're also joined by our two amazing panelists, Amanda Ferris, CEO and founder of LinkUnite, and Sarah Mallow, the COO and president. Amanda has deep experience in the performance marketing industry and has held various high-level positions, including director, vice president, and chief strategy officer for several high-profile firms. Her passion for the performance marketing industry and her drive to make a positive impact have made her a rising star in the field. Thank you so much for joining us, Amanda.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
And Sarah is a veteran marketer with 22 years of experience in digital marketing and the marketing events industry. Her expertise is broad, but centered around sales, client success, and business development. Thank you for joining us today, Sarah.
Happy to be here.
So we'd love to hear from our attendees throughout this conversation. We've opened the Q&A section of the webinar, so please drop any questions that you may have for our panelists. As always, we will provide a recording of this webinar to all registrants within the next few days, and we thank you all for joining us. So I think we should probably dive right in talking about the amazing movement, of course, that LinkUnite is. But Rich, can you tell us, how did Anura get involved and maybe become aware of LinkUnite?
I know it started well before I got a chance to recognize that I was up and running. I mean, I've known Amanda for a long time, and once it came up, I'm like, oh, this is a group I want to be part of, except I can't. So I talked to my partner and I said to Beth, I said, this is one of those, that you need to join. She was a little reluctant in the beginning. And I'm like, but you have to be part of this group. I can't. This is one of those groups I just physically cannot be part of. And she got a chance to because she was a little leery about, joining an all women's group. But she says, well, the first event she went to was like, it's not like what you would think. She's just a totally different, great group of women, very interesting. She enjoyed the first event that she went to, and now she's been hooked. So that's kind of where we got started.
And Amanda, I know we've heard you say that the mission is really to create a supportive community of women in the performance marketing industry. The idea that it's a place to connect, create, and unite. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got started on this journey?
Yeah, so I mean, it is an initiative for women, but we are very much more of like the idea of we collaborate. So everyone in the industry that really wants to push this mission forward, we've tried to find an inroad to partner with them in some capacity. And the idea about like connect, create, unite is really finding your tribe or finding your people, like-minded individuals, whether that be on like entrepreneurship or partnership or evolution of the industry, whatever it might be, is really coming together, finding the hive mind and pushing forward together just for accelerated growth, whether that be as the individual or for a company or the industry as a whole. And kind of how we got started in this was just trying to find something for Sarah and I to join. Years ago, we were really just at a show in Boston going like, there has to be something like this. And I think there were little pillars that existed at the time, but nothing that really brought together the people that we were trying to get in touch with and get in front of in terms of like, how do I get to the next phase of my career? How do I start a company? How do I do these things, that I'm interested in doing? And that was really the genesis of, LinkUnite was just born out of necessity and finding the people you want to work with.
And Sarah, I know that I've read a couple of pieces that you guys forwarded me and some things I've found about the organization. Can you give us a little bit from your perspective of that same sort of origin story or the backstory behind how you guys formed this amazing organization?
Yeah, of course. So I had met Amanda, gosh, I say it's been 10 years, but I say that I think I've been saying that for at least 15. So it's been a long time. She was a client of mine. And back then, you're going to these events and you're meeting very few women. It's super male dominated. We became really close friends, actually. We were colleagues, but we became friends. And I just kept being drawn back to her for some reason. It's like, we really need to do something bigger together. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet. We constantly, when we come together and it's on a daily basis, we think of something new to add to LinkUnite. And so, we were just drawn together, honestly.
And Rich, I know that yes, not being able to join the organization, but still being able to support it. What kind of benefits do you think Anura experiences from being part of this movement?
Well, it's not something that you directly relate to it. And again, we have a good group of women that work in our company, so it's an event that they get to go and talk to other women about the struggles that they've had, things that have worked. So it inherently helps our organization. It's just a great concept of what they're doing. That's why we're happy to support it. And like I said, I wish I knew about it sooner. We only, I guess, got connected with the LinkUnite in the last year and a half, something like that. And I know you guys have been around, what, like 5-6 years?
As a whole, yes. I know we're going to dive into that in a little bit, but yes, but it's really been the last year and a half that we took off. So we were able to circle, I think, up the best people, within the last year and a half to really just dive into this head first.
So
right?
we got in there pretty
yeah. The inroads are at their time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty much, like I said, it's good. I'm happy to we have a couple women joining the group this next week, I guess it is.
Mm-hmm.
So looking forward to seeing how they do there and some of the feedback that we get back, especially we have a new person that's joining the group next week.
So both Amanda and Sarah, you guys can probably both answer this, but can you tell us a little bit about how important that sort of corporate sponsorship is to LinkUnite? And then what sort of benefits do you guys promote as both individual and company memberships when they affiliate with your organization?
Like partnerships are basically the most integral part of what we do. So everything that we build off of is built on partnerships, because we don't charge for the women to attend, because again, we wanted to do something for the the industry to really take women to the next level and take companies to the next level. We really focus and kind of pride ourselves on the fact that everything is done through partnerships. And so the mutual benefit there is they're supporting us, they're supporting the industry. And for us, it's taking the most, I would say, not cream of the crop, but just the best people that we know in the industry, putting them together and having more than just the 30-minute Cosmo bar Vegas conversation where you can actually say, hey, tell me what you do. Where did your career start? Where are you going? What are your 5 to 10 year plans? And actually dive in and start making connections. And so for the brands, it's the same thing. For our partners, it's what do you guys want to do over the next 5 years? What is the trajectory? What are the target, and key demographics you're trying to get in front of? And for us, it's because we do know everyone and we touch base with everyone, making those one-to-one intros saying, hey, I send emails to them all the time, whether it's integration partners or just, clients for potentials or whatever. It's just being able to drop that name and say, this is our fraud partner, or, these are our other software partners, things like that, or our networks, and be able to actually have a one-to-one contact with them. And that's accelerated business and accelerated branding for us. It's not just throwing something out into the ether of LinkUnite. It's actually having tailored content, knowing who you're getting in front of, and being able to push those missions forward, not just for LinkUnite, but for the partners that we work with. And Sarah can speak a lot on that too, because that's what she does, on the day.
Yeah, no, I would just add that the partners are the backbone of LinkUnite right now. And we've got, talk about Rich and Beth and Anura. They have just been so impactful with us, because we can't push this forward without them. So the partners right now mean the world to us.
Family all around.
Family. Yeah.
Well, you talked a little bit about that delineation of duties. What do you each, what do you each tackle within the organization? What kind of
We actually we've talked about this, and so she's sort of a graphic designer now by day, and I'm sort of a content writer, and this has just come in the last few months, so this is all new to us. But it's just the two of us right now, so we're tackling a lot of large projects. Her and I don't really, I think it's best that way right now, because we like things done the way we like it done. We're a little type A and crazy like that, but we're really tackling all of this together, and with partners, and the members that are joining, they're so influential with all of this as well.
So we tackle, I would say like it's where the genesis of the idea starts. So kind of like what Sarah said, we get on the phone every day and we throw out 15 new ideas that maybe we can execute one of in the next quarter. And that's what makes it so much fun is it's feedback from members, it's feedback from partners. We're trying to really evolve and grow. But I would say in terms of, what's actually out there, like Sarah's taken sort of the lead on our mentorship program and really run with that and putting, the criteria together and what that looks like. And then we've both been responsible for documenting it and getting the mentee to New York and trying to participate programs. Women's Coalition is something that we definitely want to run with, and that we're slowly organizing with Beth and Gayla and other women a part of LinkUnite, and then we sort of tag team the events, as it were. So Sarah and I are like the tag team masters when it comes to anything in person, and then we sort of delineate based on the origin of the idea, I feel like, and provide support for each other on the back end as much as possible.
So there's an event coming up in about, what is it, two weeks? Right?
No, less than a week.
Weekend. It's Sunday. Sunday is the opening ceremony. So our opening
reception. Right, less than a week. So it's LinkUnite 3, right?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that event and maybe some of the two preceding events.
The two preceding events. Yes. So LinkUnite 3 starts Sunday. It's Sunday through Wednesday coming up. And big thank you again to Anura, because they are, you guys really made this come together for us, and the partnership and support we've had from Beth and Rich. And that goes from content to the actual event itself. We've got a lot of great things going on site that we can talk about in a little bit, but that one's coming up. The two preceding ones have been, our goal was always to bounce between the coasts and to never take people to Vegas because we don't enjoy self-inflicted torture. So we've really picked places that we thought would bring in a lot of interest from members. So Marco Island, Scottsdale, Park City, those types of places. There's just intrigue in places that we don't normally get to go to. So we picked the places based on that, and the events themselves have really taken form around what we're getting back from the members. So, at the upcoming one, our two biggest sessions were around feedback we got, which is compliance. Compliance is, I think, on everyone's mind right now. It's fraud, it's compliance, it's how do I get in front of it? What technologies do I use? So a lot of our content is centered around, many TCPA laws, privacy laws that are upcoming. We're working great with the Troutman firm and them to help, on a lot of that piece, working with PACE. And then, in turn, talking to our solution providers like Anura and IntegraShield and these other, great partners, saying like, hey, can you explain to the members, how they protect themselves and how your solutions actually work? So we're actually trying to integrate a lot more of that into the content is around what's actually happening right now in the industry and what tools can we give our members to sort of protect themselves. So that's kind of been the evolution, where before it was much more centered around networking. And I think now we're really more centered around the content and what people are going to take away from the event, as well as, the networking itself, because we're type A extroverts. We're going to network anyways at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I just want to add about the event, because I think people are they don't really understand what the event overview looks like. And I finished the strike schedule last night while I watched my Patriots lose again, but at least I got the strike schedule done. We kick off with a welcome reception, which is really nice. Amanda and I do a lot of introductions. There's a lot of newbies coming, so we like to make sure that everybody knows everybody, which is why we keep to 150 or less at our events right now. So we know that everybody has a chance to talk to each other. And then Monday, we kick off with 3 meals together. We have activities. Like Amanda said, we have some compliance content tracks that day. And we're also doing videos throughout all 3 days. We've selected 21 absolutely amazing women to have interviews with, and so they'll be able to tell a little bit about themselves, what they're doing in the industry, and then just some questions that we came up with that we find people will find interesting. So it's packed. I mean, we have something going on every hour the whole time that we're there, so it's really busy. And then people are doing business on the side as well.
You can walk down to any courtyard or pool and hear, send me the posting instructions.
Right.
Those are the best conversations. So it's a perfect blend. And again, it's an amorphic thing that's sort of taking shape as we get feedback from, what everyone wants to learn and hear about. We're really tailoring it around that. So
yeah. Yeah. And the difference too, I just want to add, is that we tell everybody don't bring business cards. So we don't want that kind of a layout like it is at the other events. We want you to sit down, have a conversation, have a cup of coffee with somebody, really get to know them, what they do in the business. Can you work together or not? That kind of just really relaxed environment.
And speaking of being responsive, we do have a question from the audience about the membership and what it takes to become a member. What are the criteria to join LinkUnite?
Amanda, you want me to take that?
I know you love this one, so go for it. Yeah. So Sarah's favorite.
Yeah. So we launched our membership in May. We've kind of been working together with a lot of different people to have a package. It's very low cost, so it's affordable. So our membership is open to everybody. Our in-person events are director level and up, and it's invite only, but the membership is open to everybody. Let's just make that clear. You can go onto our website, sign up for it. You're instantly gaining a network and a tribe. We add you to a Discord channel that's only LinkUnite members. Everything goes on in this Discord. I don't want to, reveal too much, but there's business happening. There's intros happening. People are hiring, for jobs in there. It's honestly, to me alone, that Discord channel is super valuable. We're also doing things for our members. If it makes sense, we're getting them up on stage. I would happy to say we got Beth Kahn up on stage at our event in New York City when she told me 6 months ago she wasn't going to be doing any speaking engagements, but we have that way about getting people up on stage. But the membership, it's honest to God, right, Amanda? I mean, we're talking to our members on a daily basis. The value is there. We're promoting them, inside LinkedIn. We're tagging people. We're getting people intros that way. Feel free to chime in. Amanda,
I got you.
anything
So
I missed?
I will say it's not like you just join and we send you into the ether and good luck.
No.
Every person that does come on, like I make it a point to get on a video call, with them for at least an hour and get to know what they do, what their business is,
Right.
what their goals are, especially for the younger AMs and AEs. It's just like, where do you want to go? Who do you want to be? Which you may not know. I didn't know when I jumped into SaaS and didn't even know what it stood for, and who we would have thought that I would end up here. But I'm really trying to just gauge who these people are as individuals as well, like what their interests are and things like that. So it is open, but we do make an attempt to get to know everyone. And then when we throw the other educational series, like the Link events or the one day, the happy hours that we do, that whether they're all women or they're even co-ed, at least we know who these people are and we can say, hey, good people know good people. That's how we tend to grow our network and how we're getting our membership. So it's just another extension of the good people that we're already working with and trying to bring them into the fold and help accelerate, again, just those career paths and those introductions within the group itself. So I hope that makes sense.
How many members you guys up to at this point?
Couple hundred at this point. The corporate memberships are actually kind of where it's sort of taking off. So we've now just got the companies coming in saying, hey, I have 10 women and they just want to sign up, and it comes with content as well. So I think that they like those packages because it comes with social posts and emails and things like that. So that's been where we're running with it, is on the corporate side. But we're definitely love seeing coming into tens. Groups of tens makes it a lot easier to get to, 500-600.
Right. And not to mention, we love seeing companies like Ignite Media and BuyerLink that have women team. That doesn't happen a lot in this industry right now. So we're tackling them.
Right. So you mentioned the performance marketing industry and digital marketing space. What about this industry made you feel like this was something important for you guys to do?
There's just not a lot. And I mean, Rich can attest to this because I think I knew he was one of the first gentlemen that I met years and years and years ago. But I just remember meeting him and talking, just being like, hey, like, there's just not a lot of women, but I found the guys that I like. Can you introduce me to some people that same thing with like Joel, who was at Lead Group with Debbie. Just, do you guys know, good women? And I think the genesis again of a lot of this was there just were not a lot of women to begin with. There's not a whole lot of us now, but there's more. And kind of finding and keeping those people, retention, I think is kind of what we're like driving around for this space, is really just to increase that percentage and keep people in after that 18-month to 3-year kind of churn cycle that we see for the younger ones. How do we keep them in the industry? How do we push forward? And we picked this space because this is the space that we came from, and we love digital marketing and performance marketing. Like, this is, Sarah and I, even during COVID, we're talking about, like, do we stay, do we go, when everything was in flux during that time. And I think it's hard to pull away from a group of people that you build as kind of like a family. At the end of the day, like, I see all of these people a dozen times a year, and I see my mom like maybe twice. Do you know what I mean? So they become family in essence. So it's hard to say, where would you start? Well, you start with the tribe that you have. You start with the family that you have, and you try and build a community and a family around this. And then as it's grown out into the tech and marketing greater worlds, it's great. But the genesis started here because this is where our family was. I think that's the reason we picked performance marketing at the end of the day.
Yeah. And Amanda, she was my event buddy, over 10 years ago. And we're like, we want everybody to have what we have with each other. How can we build off of that? When you're going to these happy hours and you're by yourself, it can be a little bit overwhelming, and we don't want anybody else to experience that. We want to take them in and have these groups of women going into these places together.
Very cool.
So, Rich, the corporate membership, I know that gives your organization an opportunity to give access to this group to some of your employees. And you mentioned a few of them are going next week to LinkUnite 3. Are there other benefits you feel like they're feeling from it? And how has the reception been to your employees kind of picking up and getting involved?
Well, up to this point, it's been basically my partner, Beth, who's been the one who's been going to them, and she loves it. Like, it's a different type of group, than you would think. So she's learning stuff. So she's hitting me up with a lot more questions, as she's trying to pick up different areas because she's being asked to speak on stage, and she wants to make sure she's got all the details. So if somebody asks her a question, she's prepared for it, because she handles most of the marketing and operations and finance. I handle more of the product and support and development of the actual product and sales. So I'm not much of a teacher, right? The best way for me to teach is when someone asks me a question, and they always make fun of me because, all of a sudden they just asked me a question last week about ad tags. And I'm like, I tried to explain it, and I guess it just didn't come out the right way for them to understand. And then we started talking about it, and I said it in a different way. And all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, we asked the right question. Now we got the right answer. Now we can proceed with that. But, she's enjoying it because, like I said, I want her on stage. I want her to, to be more than just, she always calls it behind the scenes. And it's, there's a back office when you're running a business, there's the business operations, payroll, finance, and then there's the fun stuff. In my opinion, the fun stuff is building the product, talking to a client, getting them excited, seeing what we're able to do for them. There's two sides of the business, and she's actually been more and more involved in the marketing side. So she's really starting to put it all together. And, like I said, she's got a lot of knowledge. And, she was on stage last week. And I guess you guys were on stage for like hours, it sounded like.
It was a 3-hour session and a 5-hour event.
Poor
Yes.
Beth.
I know.
Oh, and Rich, thank you for our Starbucks delivery too. That was clutch.
Oh yeah, I get a text message. Can you do me a favor? I'm like, sure. I'll run down. Because I was just walking around New York City, and I get a text message. I'm probably half a mile away, and I'm like, got to give me 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But she's on stage, and she was when you're first on stage, you're not on stage a lot. I still get nervous going on stage just because it's not something I do every day. And she was a little nervous, and I'm like, just talk about what you know a tremendous amount of information. If they ask you a question you don't know, just say you don't know,
Yeah.
But the questions that came up, she was very comfortable talking about. Probably got a couple of good stories out of her.
We did.
So yeah, no, that's where it's interesting. Like I said, I know she's being asked to speak from time to time, and I know she's a good speaker. She's just got to do it more often.
Yeah. What conferences or industry events does LinkUnite participate in today?
You name it. No, I'm just kidding. So,
yeah, we're everywhere.
We're everywhere. So I think I'll be at 17. I think we were at 17 shows this year total. So most of our partnerships that we're seeing, though, are developing out of like the Clarion relationships, the affiliate summit shows, and the introductions they're making to their other portfolio of business, at least within the North America's family of that conference. We're seeing a lot of headway with that, especially with the educational piece on the Link side. So those will still be, obviously attending moving forward. All of the leads cons, obviously with Ian and the access intelligence side, being involved with them because our industry just obviously feeds into that. It's one of the better conferences. It always has been, at least for me. It's nice to actually go to that. So we'll continue to do that just because of our partners that are there, and the happy hours that we throw there tend to do really well in terms of getting about 150 people in a room. That seems to be relatively easy at those types of shows. PI Live with Matt Wood and that family, will definitely be continuing our partnerships with them. We see a lot of benefit out of that. And then there's, obviously the IPX shows and all the one-offs that we'll kind of reevaluate, but we've slowly been migrating into other shows simply because of the nature of the industry. Is as we're getting like app developers and tech, more of the tech fintech space, we're naturally being kind of, I guess, pulled into some of these like mobile shows or into other, ethers, like I said, other facets of the industry that we don't necessarily touch every day, but they're sort of in the group. So I think we'll expand where we go next year, but definitely within the Affiliate Summit, LeadsCon, PI Live families will be attending all of those moving forward. And then obviously anything else that comes up that looks fun, we'll probably jump into as well.
Yeah, I got to give a shout out to Lead Gen World because
Yes.
Mike Faree was the one that really started the support. He kicked it off for us, and he does Contact.io and AFI Expo, and Anura is up for a Technology Platform of the Year award, so they got a nomination at AFI in LA. So we'll be there supporting Anura.
Yeah, Lead Gen World and Contacts are probably the most two, I would say, integral shows that we participate in. So Mike is literally like absolute core family of our group. He's on our advisory board, and he goes out of his way to support us. And that's the type of partnerships that we've been building in the spaces. I think when people understand the mission and they get behind it, we all just kind of run with it, and just finding the good people to do it. It makes it a lot more fun at the end of the day too.
I still can't get over. You said 17 shows.
Yeah, I did 22 last year, did 17 this year. I said I was going to cut down,
Yeah.
17 this year. And I'm skipping 3 next week because I do have a wedding to plan and have things coming up. So.
Now, the most I've ever done, I want to say, was 14 in a year, and it was way too many shows.
It's a lot.
But 17 or 22 even, that's just crazy.
It's nice though, because although it's exhausting, I found that even during the summer when Sarah and I were meeting up to talk about, Link in New York, that 2-month hiatus, the summer hiatus that a lot of us go through, I was having withdrawals. I was like ready to go back to my show. I missed my family. Obviously we had a great dinner with, everyone, coming back into New York, and you guys were there. And that was kind of I literally called Sarah. I was like, I've never been ready to go back to New York. I don't know if I'd had the same feeling about Vegas, but New York, I was ready to get back. I was like, I miss everybody. I need updates on family. I need updates on kids, all of those things. So as much as I say it's exhausting, I also think I would miss it if I wasn't, able to see everybody on a monthly basis and kind of get updates in terms of what everybody's doing. And it's a good pulse on the industry as well.
Yeah.
So.
Very cool.
So, Rich, what would you say to another business owner or an executive CEO that was considering corporate membership? Like, how would you encourage them, or at least talk to them about?
Don't consider it, just do it. I mean, you can't, you're not going to see the benefit on a piece of paper. This is a person-to-person relationship that's being built. These are things that, everybody does business with people that they know. So there's always going to be the business aspect. There's always going to be an ROI down the road that you can calculate, but it's not about that. It's about the relationships that you're building. And it's about supporting the different people in your organization in different ways. So like I said, for the women's group here, it's, you can't really put a price on it. Don't consider it, just do it. And you'll appreciate it down the road as you start to see the benefits coming of it. And there'll be lots of benefits that'll come from it.
And are Amanda, you and Sarah, are you seeing membership driven from more grassroots, like women at a place that want to join the organization, or are you seeing it from executives and their leadership teams reaching out to you guys?
I think it's both sides, Sarah. I mean,
Yeah.
For us, and because we're both having conversations one-off here and there as people approach us, like it is the grassroots, it's the individual signups. That's what drove it initially, especially in like May, is just the individuals signing up. And then as we started to see 3 or 4 people from the same organization, that's when we started to figure out, okay, maybe we should start pushing, more of like the corporate side and having buy-in there. But there's just as many, I would say, male executives as there are female executives that come to us and say, hey, I want to, offer this to the women on my team. Like, what do I need to do? So, I think that from a value perspective, they see that like Rich was saying, the relationships are what it is. It's hard to explain unless you're there and you see it. And we do our best to put it in business portfolios and to get quantitative data. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you're tracking it and you see an uptick in your CRM on a sales side, we see people that are doing that. They're telling us that they're seeing ROI on the time and the money that they spend. But you have to be there to experience it. And so when they have a woman who goes to LinkUnite and they go back and tell the story, then I would say a lot of times, whether that's a male or a woman executive, they're coming back to us going, okay, how do I sign everybody up? Like, all right, everybody wants to be a part of that. Right. And Sarah, is probably similar for you too. But
well, I think people would be surprised to know that you and I have a ton of calls with men, with CEOs, you know what I mean? With, owners of companies. It's not just women we're talking to, we're actually going right to whoever's in charge, let us talk to you for 30 minutes and so you can understand what we're doing here. So.
And they just have to take members of their team and they're good. We're just like, let us bring them to Park City. We'll tell you, they'll come back and tell you exactly what this is about, at the end of the day.
That brings up an interesting question. You've got a couple hundred people signed up at this point. How do you keep your events down to that 150 mark? Because I'd imagine it's highly sought after to come.
It is. And it's so a lot of it is because we mitigated at the director level up. It does render a good portion of those people, they want to come and we want to build them to get to that point. But if you're, you've just become a manager, or you're an AE, they still need a couple years to speak acronym fluently. That's what I call it when they go to the shows. Like, do you speak tech fluently? And so it makes it a little bit easier there, but it's also, if we go through or, get an inquiry to come to the event and we do our due diligence, we talk to people about who these people are, we talk on the phone. It's not just because we talk to you that we invite you. The idea is really to protect the integrity of the group. So if there, are people that owe money or have issues with other people in the industry or have issues with people that are there, like, we're not trying to bring in drama. We're not trying to be exclusionary, but we really want to focus on the mission, which is driving the success of the women in the industry and not focusing on the tedious crap, so to say, that's really not worth the time to focus on, right? Like, if and people evolve and relationships evolve, but it's funny to see the number get to that point where, like, all right, we're gonna have to cap it, right? Like, we can't go over a 200 mark for event. And that comes down to partnership and sponsorship and cost, but it also comes down to how do 200 people meet each other and have quality time. Now it's just another conference. So I think it's going to be a little bit more interesting, I think, as we get into, farther into it and we have more of like thousands of people in it to figure out how we're going to procure the groups, or if we break them into little subgroups based on industries, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But it's right now it's still at least manageable for the most part for Sarah and I, but eventually we're going to need additional brains, I think.
Yeah. She says manageable and we're working like 15-hour days. Getting our event plan. But I mean, we have the Link series, the educational piece is for everybody in the industry, all levels, because we want to put that time into the industry to keep the industry growing, right? So that the industry grows, we all grow together.
Very cool.
So that very first LinkUnite event that you guys put together.
LinkUnite 1.
I assume that was, that there were a lot of things you thought you were going to, pull together and everything was going to go smoothly in the beginning. How did you adjust as you went through setup for that? And how with the timing there, how did the COVID pandemic and all that work for Oregon?
So that goes back to like the first one that was supposed to happen in 2019 or 2020, apologies. We were I was working at Leadspedia, and Mo was 100% behind us, as Mo always is behind, every wonderful idea that he, pushes. He's like, I'm in 100%, right? So he's behind it, working with DMS and some other brands. And we were literally a week from putting the deposit down on a venue, and we were in Vegas, coming back from Vegas. I think everyone was at that LeadsCon, and then the world shut down. And that was or I think it was Affiliate Summit, whichever one it was. the world shut down and we're like, okay, well, let's not put the deposit down. That hotel is now no longer in business. So I'm very glad we didn't. But that was a very interesting time because we knew that there was a need then, right? Like those conversations started in Boston. I would say it was the Boston Leads Con. I remember walking around and like Debbie, Sarah, and I are sitting at a bar writing down names on a napkin. We've told the story a million times, but that's literally the genesis of the story is sitting in a bar going, there have to be more of us, writing down names and just assembling a group that way. That's what sort of turned into that initial group that was supposed to take place in 2019, 2020. And then coming out of COVID, you saw everyone run into live events. Like I think that was, everyone was ready to get back in the game. They were all ready to go. And so for us, it was just, hey, it looks like everyone's coming out from, hibernation. And that was probably January or February. And literally within 8 weeks, Sarah and I like, we can put this together in 8 weeks. Because we don't like sleep and self-inflicted torture is fun. But yeah, we really threw it together in 12 weeks and got people out that were interested. So we knew there was still interest. We knew there was a need and we knew people were ready to get back out. And so it was just, we hit the ground running at that point saying, okay, now that we're all ready to go, let's go do it. You know what I mean? That was sort of the first event.
Yeah. Timing was everything because there was a point where we didn't know events were going to even happen in person again. There was a few months there we were like, oh no, are we ever going to be able to do this? So timing.
Mm-hmm.
Good times.
No, yeah. Everyone's having flashbacks right now. I feel like the ambiance of silence is just like, oh God, don't want to think about that. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're coming up on about 40 minutes here. Is there anything we haven't covered about the organization, Sarah or Amanda, that you feel like people need to hear about?
I think what I just want to drive home is, although it is a women's organization, is that we are not strictly just for women. Like, yes, our events are for women, but even the events that we're doing that are collaborative, the partnerships that we have, it's about the industry as a whole. Like if you don't have women represented in your company and you want women in your company, we're happy to help with that. If you have younger women you're trying to develop into your next VP or to someone to take over, we want to be involved in every aspect of the industry. And although we do circle up the best of the best and we love our tribe, we can't grow without collaboration. And so I think at the end of the day is people a lot of times just think of women's groups as sort of like a DEI box that sort of sits in the corner and I touch it when I have to. Kind of get whatever or content piece. And for us, it's like, we just don't want anyone to think of it that way. This is really a collaborative movement. And although we do focus on one, we do, male and female events, during the year where we do get everyone together. We want those people to meet. We want our favorite men to meet our favorite women and to do business together. And that's what's great is when we have companies that are all male and they can't send someone to LinkUnite, we can still have an event and introduce them. They can still be a part of the group and they feel the love. And that's, I think for me, one of the biggest things I want to drive home, it's not just a party for women. We don't just get together and have a good time. Like, yeah, we have a good time, but we do business while we do it. And we want it to be bigger than that. We want it to be sort of something for the industry as a whole, not just for the women too. So, and Sarah, you can speak more to that, but I think she feels.
Well, no, I was just going to say that, that this isn't just a party. I mean, this is a movement. We've already in a year and a half achieved so much. We've had CEO dinners where half are women and half are men at that table. I can tell you, I've been here a long time. We've never seen that before. We are working with, like Amanda said, LeadsCon and Lead Gen World and Contact.io and Affiliate Summit. And we're putting more women up on stage. And you can tell, you can look at the agendas from a couple years back to what we are seeing now, and we're making moves here, and so we have so many things. And Amanda's got her scary board behind her blurred, thank God, because that's all of our ideas that we come up with on a daily basis. I can't even tell you, middle of the night, oh my gosh, we should do this for the women, for our members. That we've just begun. That's all I can say. We've just begun and get on this train right now because we're just going to blow this up.
But we love collaboration. Like we love ideas. And again, like anybody that comes to us and says, hey, I have this idea. If it makes sense, we'll run with it. Right. Like at the end of the day, we're open to ideas. I think a lot of people think we have a static idea of what this has to be. And for us, that's not this at all. We want feedback. We want people to tell us, what they see and what they want. And we want to be able to deliver that. That's really the focus of what we do, whether that comes from a man or a woman. We want to be the best that we can be and provide value to the industry as a whole.
We have another question from the audience too that kind of ties into that, which is, looking beyond the event that's happening next week, which I know is obviously what you guys are highly focused on, what do you see as the future of this organization? Where do you guys see it going in the next 12 months, 5 years?
Oof, that's a loaded question.
Question. Yeah.
I'll talk to the membership piece. The idea for us is to grow the membership, right? The more members, the bigger the tribe is, the more support, the more networking we have. So that's our goal, is to grow that membership. We're going to be, and Amanda said this at the beginning of this, it's a different kind of membership. We want you to get value. You're not going to join this and be pushed off into the corner. I can tell you, we can tell who's active in Discord and who's active in our membership, because if they're not, we're worried about you. Amanda and I are texting or calling. Have you heard from this, person? We want to make sure everything's okay with them and their career and their personal life. It's that personal touch that we're giving to everybody. And so, I see the membership piece really growing, and we're just going to grow this in humongous tribe that people are not even going to believe that we've done it. And we're on our way.
And I would say the expansion of the events. So something to keep an eye on will be, although LinkUnite has been digital marketing focused, and a lot of it is sort of like the tertiary industries, like we said, where it is like, we'll obviously have like app developers and technology and SaaS pieces, but potentially breaking those off into smaller groups, because now we are getting to the point where we're having to cap a lot of these. And some people that come to the event, it might make sense to do one that is specifically around finance and fintech and technology. It might make sense to make one that is specific around performance marketing and digital marketing as a whole. We want to make sure that members are getting value. So if the groups diversify too much in thought, we do want to be able to parcel those out. So that's something that we've had a conversation about in terms of next year. Is we'll have the Link educational pieces for the younger members of the industry, as well as, more seasoned, because again, it's open format. But also tailoring off the LinkUnite retreats themselves more into diversified fields or industries as a whole. So, finance, digital marketing creator, or even, government relations, whatever it might be. So,
yeah. And our mentorship program, my gosh, if I could focus on that a little bit more, if I had some extra time. I mean, we have so many mentors and mentees that want to be hooked up, and, we are going to be rolling those out pretty regular now that we have a solid roadmap with that program. And again, like we always say, we're just giving back to the industry. We're educating, keeping it going. So, I can see that program also growing significantly in the next few months.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that. And Rich, did you have any parting thoughts or wisdom related to LinkUnite? Or
Just if anybody's listening and they're not involved, get involved. That's all I can say. I mean, it's something you just have to get involved with in order to see what's really being offered. Like, there's just so much for, like I said, for the organizations that are involved, for the women that are getting involved. And it's just something that if you're not, you're missing out. There's a good group of people, and something that everybody should be involved with.
Amen.
Yeah, we got to have Rich say that right now, or put it on our homepage.
Rich is now giving the
Rich
host
Kahn.
next happy hour. Love it.
Well, thank you again to everybody for joining us today. Thank you to Rich, Amanda, and Sarah for this lively and informative conversation. We will follow up with attendees with a recording of the session, a quick survey as you exit, if you wouldn't mind answering that. And if you'd like further information on services provided by Anura, you can find Rich Kahn at anura.io. If you're interested in either individual or corporate memberships or sponsorships with LinkUnite, you can reach Amanda Ferris at amanda@linkunite.live or sarah@linkunite.live. Be sure to check out the events page at anura.io/events for more information on upcoming webinars and, of course, conference appearances as Rich hits the road. And thank you all for joining us today, and all our attendees. We appreciate your time.